their busy schedule. Today, the webinar have three technical sessions enriched by Dr. Shubhadev বিশ্বাস, Medical Officer, WVHS, Mr. Niranjan Chatterjee, Doctoral Fellow, IIT Kanpur, and Professor Sanat Kumar Mahato, Head, Department of Mathematics, SKB University. After complete each session, listener may ask their inquiries via web chat media. I am requesting Mr. Shubhendu Mandal, Head, Department of English of this college, for hosting the upcoming technical session of this webinar. Now, dear listener, I am requesting to our respected sir, Mr. Madhusudan Gorai, officer in charge of this college, to deliver his welcome address. Thank you all.
Thank you. Amor,
Yes, sir.
I am audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Thanks to our host Subhendu and also Amor, my beloved colleague, for giving me the room to deliver the welcome address. Today I will begin it with a glimpse to our college, which we are part of. The local of our college brings into my mind a few lines of Thomas Gray, which are far from the madding crowds, ignoble strife, their sober wishes never learn to stray. Along the cool sequester's veil of life, they kept the noiseless tenor of their way. So really our college is situated in a remote place surrounded by verdant natural beauty and oniric landscape, providing a serene atmosphere for quality education in its pristine form. Though the area which our college is situated in is well known as Jongal Mahal. I am fortunate enough to be able to work in such a tranquil ambience. I had the privilege to be a part of this college when it was under construction and to provide my ardent contributions to this establishment. Now, it has attained its present form with well-decorated multi-story building, gardens, so many teaching, non-teaching staffs, more than 700 students belonging to sundry honors and program courses, library, canteen, staff room, everything is there, and so on and so forth. But as we know, a tiny seed is a latent form of huge tree, and in course of time, it gains its huge form. In the same way, our institutions has commenced its interminable journey since its inception in 2013, and courses start from 2015, and it will enrich the student, and the resulting being flourish and enlightenment of this underdeveloped area. Now, if we have a glance at the present situation, as our convener Dr. Amor Hen said, we see that the menace COVID-19 is rising all over the world. The pandemic broke out in December 2019, gained momentum from the very beginning of 2020, and is still prevalent across the globe, creating an airy and scary atmosphere by its destructive assault on humanity. We know it's a contagious disease, and it's spreading. It is spreading rapidly from man to man in various ways. Sometimes through physical touch, sometimes through sneezing and coughing, and the like. Millions of people have been infected by this horrendous disease. Though a great number of people have recovered, but the thousands of people have lost their life. So, to evade its fatal grip, we are maintaining social distancing and we are compelling to confine ourselves into our very home, leaving all our normal affairs in life behind. It's really an awful situation we are in, and it is quite impossible for us to attend our institutions and carry on our academic affairs. Therefore, we organize an international seminar or webinar to overcome the status quo, and the theme we choose is COVID-19 problems and challenges. Keeping its twofold function, we choose this theme. Number one, it will drive away the monotony we are facing and bring a kind of vivacity to all of us, to our students, to our teaching, non-teaching staffs, and all the other participants. And second, we would be able to cope up with the present pandemic since we will have ample orations and deliberations which will enable us to know about its various spheres, its way of spreading, its effect, prevention measures to be taken, medicine to be used, lifestyle to be maintained, and so on and so forth. It was impossible to organize such a grand event for this college without the cooperations and contributions of our colleagues. So I cordially thanks Professor Amor Hens, convener seminar committee, and all others who made it a reality. I have valuable suggestions from all the participants. Now it is pertinent to release every aspect of this webinar. So I welcome all the attendees, the speaker, the students, the scholars, the colleagues, the friends to enjoy this today webinar. Thanks to all of you to be a part of it. Thanks. Again.
Thank you. Thanks, sir, for such a warm welcome address and for inculcating vigor in the speakers and curiosity in the participants. But before introducing our chief guest, I would make an announcement. And all the participants are requested to mute themselves and to put their cameras off. Only the speaker will, unmute himself or herself. Otherwise, there will be a kind of hindrance for the speaker, and the speaker may be distracted. Okay, and if the participants have any kind of query regarding the deliberations of the speaker, then they will have the opportunity after the speech is over. When the speech is over, the participants will put their queries in the chat box and will read the queries, will read the questions, and the speakers will answer to them. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now I'll introduce our honorable chief guest. Although Professor Amor Hens has already introduced our honorable chief guest, I would say that our honorable chief guest for this grand international event is Professor Sanat Kumar Mahato. He is a professor and head Department of Mathematics of Sidho Kanu Birsa University, Purulia. And I would also like to welcome Professor Mahato for delivering the keynote address to this grand event. So, Professor Mahato, please carry on the keynote address to this event. Sir, over to you.
So, good morning, everyone. This is a great event that GGDC Rani Band has taken. So, we are all in a threat. The world is shivering with the global pandemic, and we are in a very utmost challenge in these days. And so I thank you, the organizers of this college, that they have managed to arrange an webinar of this type. So thank to our host, Professor Subhendu Mondal, for providing me the opportunity to deliver the keynote address. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Now, I express my earnest gratitude to Professor Amar Hens, convener of the seminar committee of this college, and the chief patron, my dear colleague, Professor Madhusudan Garai, not only colleague, he was also my friend, he is also my friend, and the officer in charge of this college, Government Degree General College of Raniband. I am thankful to him for bestowing upon me the honor of chief guest. I am really privileged to get this honor. Now, I thanks all the organizers, and I want to say that Professor Gorai has already introduced about the college, that how much far from the town of Bakura is located. It is located in the district of Bakura, and it is in the almost boundary of Bakura and Purulia, and it is a part of Jangal Mahal. And most of the students are coming from the very poor economic and social background, and it is quite impossible now to arrange a physical seminar and visit this college due to this global pandemic. However, the college authority and all the faculty members and the teaching and non-teaching staffs have arranged this kind of webinar. I'm really thankful to them. Now, it is quite appreciating to make successful of this kind of webinar. In spite of all these hindrances, I'm elated to see such kind of venture as organizing this 2-day international seminar, in online seminar, webinar. And the theme is very interesting and very hot topic, COVID-19 problems and challenges, because all of us are attached or involved with these challenges right now. And this thought is quite appreciable. In these 2 days, we will have with us so many distinguished speakers who are experts in the medical sciences, social sciences, psychology, and many more fields, and they will throw the light upon us. They will give some directions to us, to our students, our faculty members, all stakeholders, how to defeat or combat COVID-19 outbreak, how to combat the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we'll hope that we'll succeed in near future. Now I extend my best wishes for a grand success of this webinar, and without much ado, I would thank all of you once again and look forward to enjoy it. Thank you very much. and we will be for 2 days and enjoying this seminar well. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Shubhendu, please unmute your.
Okay. Thanks to our honorable chief guest for delivering such a wonderful speech and illuminating the attendees in a positive and optimistic way. Now is the time to release the orations from our invited speakers. We have our first speaker with us, Dr. Subodip Biswas, and it's a great honor to introduce Dr. Biswas. Dr. Biswas passed the Madhyamik examination and higher secondary examination from Bishnupur High School. He passed the MBBS from IQ City Medical College, Durgapur. He attained his postgraduate diploma in clinical endocrinology and diabetes from Royal College of Physicians, London, UK. He also attained his diploma in diabetes mellitus from Royal Academy of Liverpool, United Kingdom. During his internship, he worked in multidisciplinary specialty units of medicine and ICU, surgery, pediatrics, including NICU, community medicine, eye, ENT in a center of excellence of the country named IQ City Medical College, Durgapur, West Bengal. He also attended outstation rural and urban health checkup medical camps for the people of local community, industrial employees, and state government employees like police personnel, etc. He also worked in discipline of medicine and critical care as the RMO at IQ City Medical College, Durgapur, West Bengal. He successfully completed basic life supporting training under American Heart Association in the year 2018 and awarded BLS provider certificate. He also successfully completed advanced cardiac life support training under American Heart Association in the year 2018 and awarded ACLS provider certificate. And now he is working as a medical officer in the West Bengal Health Service. And I would also like to inform that his topic of discussion is COVID-19 effects for children, pregnant mothers, and old age persons. So, Dr. Biswas, please carry on with your deliberation. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mondal. Am I audible to everyone? Please reply.
Yes, you're audible. You're perfect audible.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in such a precious and honorable program, that is the COVID-19 problems and challenges. That is really a looming threat in our society, in our country, everywhere. We are already living with this with approx last 6 months. We can't imagine at least half of the year we are just living with this menace. It has snatched so many lives, and it can infect many of us. We, the frontline workers, the frontline health workers, are at the more risk of getting infected with the COVID-19. That is a different scenario. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizers of such an excellent program, that is the Government General Degree College at Raniwand, in association with the IQAC GGDC Raniwand, for the 2 days international webinar on COVID-19 problems and the challenges that everyone needs to know. Everyone needs to understand what is the scenario, what is how severe it is, what is the disease actually. Actually, this is very new disease. None of us know a lot of things about this disease. This is the main problem. Even as a health worker, I even don't know much about this disease, because the enemy is new, and we have no weapons with our hand to fight this enemy. But still we are fighting. We are fighting with a success. The success rate that is very high. That is very high, and we have saved a lot. I would like to thank our all the speakers who have intended to extend their views in from their busy schedule. Everyone is a stalwart in their profession. Everyone is a stalwart in their knowledges. I would like to thank the organizing committee, the chief patron and the chairman, Mr. Madhusudan Gorai, our very honorable chief guest, Professor Sanat Kumar Mahato, our convener, Dr. Amar Hesh, the co-convener, Mr. Toton Roy, who is also my personal teacher, an excellent, wonderful teacher I have got across, Mr. Dibyendu Roy, Mr. Kopil Bondol, and overall the host, Mr. Subhendu Bondol. I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank and express my sincere gratitude to all the students, all our observers, all our listeners for attending such a wonderful program. Okay, now without, okay, am I audible? Please reply, am I audible? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Now, without wasting that much time, I want to proceed to my topic. Actually, I was requested to present on the effect of the COVID-19 on the special population. But as per my views, only the effect of the COVID-19 is not enough for today's topic. Actually, COVID-19 is a vast subject that is new for every one of us. And in this scenario, not only knowing the effect will help. COVID-19 should be known from the root to the top, and the knowledge that has incurred by me by working in a rural physician, by working in a rural hospital. I want to share my small knowledge about this, and I want to make this presentation to palatable to everyone. Actually, this is a very dry topic, so I want to make this is very much interesting to all of you. Please have a look, please listen, and if anyone has a doubt, please let me know by unmuting your microphone. So without wasting that much time, I want to present my screen. So, is my screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you for replying.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Thank you for replying. Okay, so this is the coronavirus disease, a looming threat. This is the title of my presentation because it is really a threat, which we all have in our minds that coronavirus disease is very contagious, very deadly, very dreadful. But at the end of the slide, we may land up with some different opinions. Okay, so let's proceed. So today I will cover the following topics with my presentation: the overview, the coronavirus particle, how does it look like, how is it transmitted, what it does inside our body, why we get sick. There are so many viruses in the environment, so many particles, so many pathogenic particles in the environment. Not every particle, every pathogenic material make us sick. But why it is making us sick? There must be some reasons. The symptoms, the detection, how we detect it, and the most important factor for the community purpose is whom to screen for. We are not screening everyone who is passing, a person who is passing by the road. I am just taking him and taking a swab, and I am just testing for the person. No. There are some specific protocols for whom to screen, whom to check for the virus. Actually, next, my today's actual topic, effects on the special population, outcome and prevention. So, the coronavirus and overview. Coronavirus is a group of the RNA viruses that cause diseases in mammals and birds. So coronavirus can only infect mammals and birds, not any other group in the animal kingdom. First, to make this clear. In humans, these viruses cause respiratory tract infection that can range. Actually, it is here written as mild to lethal, but actually it may be asymptomatic. Even I don't know, I may don't know that I am carrying coronavirus in between me. Actually, that can range from asymptomatic to lethal. The person can also die. We already know so many persons have died. The name coronavirus is derived from the Latin word corona, which means crowns or wreath. The king, I will show you the original photo of the coronavirus. So that will you understand by showing it, by seeing it, that it actually looks like a crown. So it is named by that. It is named like this by Dr. June Almeida and David Tyrrell, who first observed and studied human coronaviruses. Okay, the second point is going to shock everyone. We are taking this as this is new coronavirus. No, actually the group of the coronavirus were first discovered in the 1930s. This is very shocking, isn't it? In the 1930s, by an acute respiratory infection of the domesticated chickens. The first coronavirus was detected not in humans, but in chickens. As I told in the first, that coronavirus can cause disease in mammals and birds. So it was first detected in chickens. Many human coronaviruses since have been identified, including SARS-CoV, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus in 2003, HCoV NL63 in 2004, HCoV HQ1 in 2005, MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus in 2012, SARS-CoV-2 in 2019. This is the SARS-CoV-2 that is the main culprit who is causing the coronavirus pandemic. So the group of coronavirus is not new. But yes, the type of the coronavirus that is infecting all of us is new. That's why it is being called as novel coronavirus, because it is the new addition in the member of the family of the coronavirus family. It is a new member. That's why it is called novel coronavirus. Now, coronavirus, how does it look like? So, see, this is the whole virus particle. Okay, this one is the whole virus particle, and this one is the cross section of the virus particle. So if you see the whole virus particle, if I cut it into half like this, just imagine the scene. It is just looking as a crown, isn't it? It is just looking as a crown of the king. That's why it is named as corona. That's why it is being named as corona. Okay, the virus has several parts, lots of microbiology is inside it. I don't want to go into details. I just want to go to the relevant parts of our projection of our topic. The virus consists of spike glycoprotein, this part. The spike glycoprotein actually helps detecting the host. Means by this, the virus knows where this animal or this person or this living body is appropriate for living inside. This virus gets to know by this only. If the person, the animal I am infecting, I can live within it or not. The virus knows by the spike glycoprotein. Then the main important part is the envelope, means this part. What does the envelope do? Envelope is a protecting layer of the virus. What is the envelope protecting? This is the viral genome, that is the RNA and N protein, that stores and recreates all the information that the virus needs to live. There's three simple things that we have to know about the virus. First, the shape. because the shape decides from where the name comes. And this is spike glycoprotein. What it helps? It helps to identify the host cell, the envelope. The envelope is the protecting layer of the virus. And the why the envelope is important, that I will tell you later. And the RNA and the N protein, that N protein means nucleic protein, that is very, very important for the virus to survive. Next, coronavirus, how can we get it? This is, many of us know about this. The coronavirus can be get through all the close contacts, that we can get by hugging, by shaking our hands with unsanitized hands. Okay. Now everyone who is less than 2 meters distance can infect us with their virus if they are infected. It may be airborne and it may be fomite based. What is fomite? Fomite is nothing but, suppose I am a coronavirus patient. I have wiped my nasal secretion, my oral secretion with my hand, and I have touched your table, your chair, your laptop keyboard, your pen, anything. When you are touching those things with bare unsanitized hands, with bare unprotected hands, and unknowingly, after working with the pen that I have used, you are using your hand to put in your mouth, to put in your eyes, to put in your nose. Unknowingly, you are getting infected with the coronavirus. Better to say, I am making you infected with the coronavirus. I am spreading the disease unknowingly, without even my knowledge, without even your knowledge. Okay, so this is the fomite part. The fomite part is the most dangerous, because if a person is having coronavirus, I can make a distance from that person, because I can see that person, I can visibly interact with that person by keeping a distance. But the fomite part is the most dangerous, because if a person, if you are traveling by a bus or train or anything, if you are touching the handle of the bus, the seat of the bus, you don't know the last one who seated on the seat. You don't know the last one who seated on the seat had a coronavirus disease or not. Then how can be you so sure? That's why the fomite part is the most important to spread the coronavirus. Next, we some have some stigma about what coronavirus infects through and what not. So coronavirus does not spread through. Please make it clear. The not is put here in big and bold. The coronavirus does not spread through mosquitoes, flies, expressed breast milk. What is expressed breast milk? That I am going to tell you later. Blood transfusion. Fecal oral route. What is fecal oral route? Fecal oral route is the very common way to transmit viruses. Very common way. Very well-known viruses like polio, very well-known viruses like hepatitis A transmit through the fecal oral route. When people use in the paddy fields and in some open spaces, open fields, when those people are defecating in the paddy fields and open fields, those fecal matter washed through the rains and goes into the ponds. That pond water, the contaminated pond water, is being used for washing of the plates and dishes, for cooking purpose, for drinking purpose. That is the fecal oral route. The fecal matter is going through the oral tract and infecting the healthy people. So coronavirus does not spread in this manner. And what does this photo? We are seeing a baby is inside in the mother's womb. So the photo is making us understand that coronavirus cannot be spread. I cannot say cannot, that does not spread through maternal to fetal transmission. If a mother is infected with COVID-19, she has very less chance that her baby is going to be infected with COVID-19 in utero while the baby is in the mother's womb. the baby has the chance of infected very little, very less. So coronavirus does not spread through all these things. Next, the important, very interesting thing, what it does inside our body. Why we are getting sick with the coronavirus? So we already know, by some official or unofficial means, we already know we are keeping the suspected people in quarantine for 14 days. Why this 14 days time period comes? It might be 16 days, it might be 20 days, it might be 3 days, 7 days, anything. But why we have chosen the 14 days? Was it a lottery? No. This is the viral pathway that starts from day 0 to day 14. So day 0 to day 14. This is the virus pathway. So from entering the virus to our body up to expressing the hardest symptom, that is the ARDS. ARDS means acute respiratory distress syndrome, that is the cause of death in the patients of COVID-19. Up to getting this much complicated, the virus takes a pathway of 14 days. That's why we have chosen the 14 days scenario, the 14 days background. So what it happens? I just now, suppose while giving you the presentation, while I'm interacting to you, I am getting infected with the coronavirus just now. So the virus enters in my body through only 3 routes. So virus entry. The virus got entered in our body. Then what will it do? 10 virus, suppose 10 virus particles got inside my body. 10 virus will not cause the disease. So the virus must be replicated. Replicated means it will become 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, like that. Some millions of virus will be produced in my body. How it is getting produced by million? This is depicted in this picture, but this is very tough and it is need not to be known. Then what it happens? When the virus, something outsider, an intruder, is entering our body's defense mechanism will also try to block that. We will always try. That is our immunity. We are not immunocompromised. We have our healthy immunity. So our immunity itself will try to contain, will try to block the virus from causing further damage. That causes in the day 3rd to day 5th activation of the innate immunity in the lungs and the maladaptive inflammatory response. What is the maladaptive inflammatory response? Let's come to this photo. This maladaptive inflammatory response is nothing but when our body is seeing some intruders have invaded our body and is trying to manipulate our normal system. Our body will always try to contain the virus in the smallest possible area. So what will it do? It will just contain the virus, the small compartment of the lungs, by making the lungs hard so that it can't penetrate to the other region of the lungs. The body is doing for our benefit, but it is doing our most harm. That's why it is called maladaptive inflammatory changes. The body is doing to protect us, but we are not being protected by this. Because if our lungs gets hard, we can't breathe. It is impossible for us to breathe. If our lungs cannot shrink and cannot expand, how will we breathe? So the coronavirus maladaptive inflammatory response of our body due to the coronavirus is making us breathless, is making people die in want of oxygen. So this is the maladaptive inflammatory response that is otherwise known as hyalinization of the lungs, because the lungs is composed of very soft, very permeable membrane. very permeable tissue, very soft. But when it is going to halinization, it is becoming calcified, it is becoming hard. So the patient, the victim can't breathe. This is the main problem, which is
There is some technical problem, I think. So I would request the participants to wait for a while since our Dr. Bishas rejoins. The participants are requested not to present because it is creating hindrance to our speakers. Now I request Dr. Subhadeep Bishas to present anew and afresh so that he can present all the things properly, and he should unmute himself too.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are perfectly audible.
Hello.
Yes,
Am I
sir, you
audible?
are audible. You are audible, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible. We can hear you. You are audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Dr. Bishas, you are audible.
Was the meeting disconnected?
Yes, sir, there was a kind of interruption.
Was the meeting disconnected in between?
Yes, sir. It was disconnected. Now you can carry on, sir.
Was the meeting got disconnected in between? Anyone
Yes,
please
sir.
reply?
It was disconnected. Can you hear me, sir? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Anyone please reply?
Yes, continue your presentation.
Yes, continue, sir. You are audible. Perfectly audible, sir.
How much did
Continue.
you hear? How much did you
Yeah.
hear? I will repeat from that.
You are audible. You are audible.
You are perfectly audible. Continue.
How much did you hear? Please type. Okay, thank you. Up to maladaptive nature. Okay, very good. So, okay, so everyone has understood the maladaptive inflammatory response, how the virus is making us sick. Now, sorry, how does it feel like when we are getting infected by the coronavirus? How does it feel? We are not that much fit, right? So the most common symptoms, the very important thing, I I have noted the most common symptom. The first point is asymptomatic. So that's the thing I was trying to tell all of you. The asymptomatic is the most, being asymptomatic is the most common symptom. So I may not know. I may not know. I may have the coronavirus disease. And the most dangerous thing is that I can transmit it to everyone. I can transmit it to everyone without even knowing that I am having the disease. This is the most dangerous part. Because if I am having any symptom, then I can be aware. Right? I can be aware. I can contain myself in a room. I can lock myself in a room. I can take the care of myself. I can seek medical attention. But if I don't know I am sick, I am infected with coronavirus, I may infect everyone. I may infect a lot of people. That is the most dangerous part of the disease, that anyone can become asymptomatic also. So if anyone does not have any fever, cough, breathing difficulty, tiredness, dry cough, that doesn't mean the person is free from the disease. Secondly, now the symptoms come. What may be the symptoms? It may be fever, it may be dry cough, it may be tiredness, aches and pains mean body aches and headaches, sore throat, pain in the throat. The most important, not the most important, but the peculiar symptom is diarrhea, conjunctivitis, headache, loss of taste or smell. That is the important part. Normal flu, normal viral fever does not make us that much of sick that we can't taste or we can't smell anything. But this coronavirus can make a sense of loss of taste or smell, a rash on skin or discoloration of fingers or toes, and the most serious problems are difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, chest pain or chest pressure, loss of speech or movement. That are the most serious parts. Okay. Now, what I was telling just now, I am having runny nose, cough and fever. Am I having coronavirus disease? Because this is a time of season change also. Cough, fever, these are all very common in the present scenario, in the present time. So if I am having runny nose, cough and fever, am I having coronavirus? Absolutely not. This may be normal flu also. So how to differentiate if I am having cough, fever and runny nose, I am having coronavirus or not? These are the common symptoms. Don't judge it by yourself. Obviously take the help of a doctor, but these are some guiding points. Fever, it is present in common cold. Just look at the chart. It is present in the common cold. Hay fever means the pollen allergy, means dust allergy or anything that you can have, and COVID-19. Sometimes fever may or may not be present in the common cold, but in COVID-19 it is always present with the high grade. High grade fever means more than 101 degree Fahrenheit. Cough. In the common cold, cough generally occurs but may not also occur. And in the COVID-19, it is always, yes, persistent to dry cough. Sneezing, in the common cold it is present, but COVID-19 it may be present or may not be present. Headache, in COVID-19 it is severe. Myalgia means body ache. In common cold, myalgia is rare, may happen. Myalgia is rare. Here it is written no, but in clinical cases, myalgia may be rare, may be present with rare scenarios. In the COVID-19, it is, yes, present. Anosmia, what I was telling in the last slide, loss of smell. Loss of smell in the COVID-19 is very common. Conjunctivitis, yes. Skin rash, no. In COVID-19, skin rash is negative. In normal cough and cold, skin rash is negative. But only in the allergic part, we all know that that is very itchy. In allergic part, it is yes. Fatigue. In COVID-19, we get very tired. We get very much fatigue. And along with that, difficulty in breathing. moderate to severe. What is NVD? It is nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. In common cold and in the pollen allergy or dust allergy, it is no. In the COVID-19, it is sometimes. The most important part, what we are habituated with. In common cold, in allergy, we are habituated with to take cetirizine, to take levocetirizine like some over-the-counter antihistamines. It gets relieved by antihistamines. But in COVID-19, it will not be relieved by antihistamines. Okay. So this is the differentiating part by the symptoms, so that we can judge which is COVID-19 or not. But this is not the utmost truth. I'm repeating it always. This is not the utmost truth. This is just for the guiding purpose. Okay. A patient comes to you. A patient comes to us. A patient can be our neighbor, our family members, even myself also. A patient comes to you with the symptoms of difficulty in breathing, cough, fever. What to do next? How will you detect? The gold standard method of detection is RT-PCR, that is reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. It is a gold standard method, but this method has a drawback. It is time consuming. You won't get the results immediately. It is time consuming method. It takes 2 to 3 days to come the report. And there are 2 types of detection. To detect the current infection, if I am currently having coronavirus disease, to detect that, there are some methods. And to detect the past infection, if I had coronavirus disease, the methods are different. If I am having the coronavirus disease right now, how will you detect? By the INAT. What is INAT? That is the isothermal nucleic acid amplification test. Antigen test, HRCT thorax. HRCT thorax means it is the high resolution computed tomography of thorax. CT scan of chest, nothing else. CT scan of chest is very reliable method in detecting COVID-19 because due to just I told in the previous slide, the maladaptive inflammatory changes that happens in the lung, that is also visible in the CT scan. Methods to detect the past infection. What is RDT? It is rapid diagnostic test. ELISA, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, neutralization assay, chemiluminescent immunoassay. I'm not going into the details of these tests. So those are very boring. And what are the clinical specimens that we take? What are the clinical specimens that we take in this scenario? That is the nasal swab, throat swab, and what is BAL? It is the bronchoalveolar lavage. Then in this photo, what the person is being done? In this photo, it is taking the nasal swab and it is taking the throat swab. Okay, this is how we take the swabs. Okay, now what I was telling on the first slide, whom to screen for? Will we screen all of us?
Sir,
Will we
please.
screen anyone who is passing in front of our home? No. The government has set some important criteria for screening. This part is taken from the ICMR specimen referral form for RT-PCR. When we doctors, the healthcare workers, are taking a sample, a specimen, I showed in the previous slide, we have to fill up this form. Earlier it was a physical hard copy form, but now it is being done in the soft copies. And the patient sample and the complete filled up form is attached with the sample and is sent to the lab. Only after receiving this form, the lab will check for the okay, I think I have got disconnected again.
Yes, sir, you are
I think I have
disconnected.
got disconnected again.
Yes, sir.
right? Okay, am I audible right now? Sorry for the technical glitch.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Please type in the message. Am I audible right now?
You are audible.
Am I audible? Okay. Okay, up to which you have heard? Up to which part you have heard? Okay, up to clinical test. Okay. Okay. So we have gone up to the detection. Sorry for the technical glitch. We have done up to the detection part. Now, whom to screen for? That I was telling. We are not going to screen everyone who is passing in front of our house, obviously. Then whom to screen for? Obviously, the government has laid down some criteria because it is not possible to check everyone in our country. You can imagine the population of our country. It is not possible to check everyone. So, whom to screen for? Whom to check for? Simple as that. First, category 1. I'm zooming it for you. Category 1. It is the symptomatic international traveler in last 14 days. Symptomatic, the person should be international traveler in last 14 days and the person must be symptomatic. There is three technical terms. The person should have traveled from the foreign in between last 14 days. The person must be symptomatic. The person must be an international traveler. Category 2, symptomatic contact of lab confirmed case means if a person has get in a close contact with another person who is tested with COVID positive in the lab by the methods of RT-PCR or any other means. RT-PCR is the most diagnostic. Symptomatic healthcare worker. Now here is another glitch. Have I ever written, or have the government ever written symptomatic lab confirmed healthcare worker? No. Symptomatic healthcare worker means there is a high possibility that the worker is infected. That may be doctor, that may be nurse, that may be group D, that may be group C, any one of us. Because we work in very risky zone. So any healthcare worker who is symptomatic must be screened. Okay. Hospitalized severe acute respiratory illness patient. Asymptomatic direct and high risk contact of lab confirmed case. So the lab confirmed case may be asymptomatic also. but it should be that he or she should be screened. Asymptomatic healthcare worker in contact with confirmed case without adequate protection, that is important, means without PPE, personal protective equipment. Symptomatic influenza-like illness patient in hospital or MOHW. HFW means Ministry of Health and Family Welfare identified clusters, means that we talk about red zones, containment zones, that those are all Ministry of Health and Family Welfare identified clusters. Now, the last point is others, and it is also here written, please select others if the patient does not fall in any other category, means if the doctor suspects, it is not mandatory that all the patients will fall in this category. It is not possible. So all the patients will fall in these 6 categories. The patient may also get COVID-19 or may be infected with COVID-19 in some uncommon process also. If, as we know, the 5 states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Delhi, these 4 states mainly, and Madhya Pradesh, these 5 states are very much infected with COVID-19. If a person is traveling from the Maharashtra to West Bengal, if a person comes, if a migrant worker is coming from Maharashtra, like Mumbai, from Mumbai to Delhi, from Mumbai to West Bengal, and comes to my hospital, the person is absolutely fine. He is having no symptoms. Should I check him or not? Yes, I obviously check him, because the person has come from a highly infected area. The person may be symptomatic or asymptomatic, but I should check the person for COVID-19. So that person will fall in the others category. Okay. Now this one. What the person I should ask for? This all you know from the previous part. Did you travel to a foreign country last 14 days? Yes or no? If yes, the place of travel. Stay or travel duration. If you have been contacting lab confirmed COVID-19 patient, yes or no? If yes, name the COVID-19 patient. Why it is important? Because when the patients are getting tested for COVID-19 along with this form, the details of each and every patient are noted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and ICMR. So if I just write the name here of the patient, if I know, just write the name of the patient can be tracked in all along the routes where he has been in the last 14 days, with whom he has been mixed, with whom he has been in close contact of. Because that's why it is the importance of the Arogya Setu app, that is the government of West Bengal insisting everyone else to download, and we should download it. Next point, where you quarantined? Yes or no? If yes, where you was quarantined? Home or facility? Home quarantine means the patient was symptomatic, but he may or may not be positive, but in facility means the patient was confirmed positive. If you are a healthcare worker in the hospital involved in the managing patient, yes or no? Now, clinical symptoms and signs. The first point is date of onset of symptoms and first symptom. If my first symptom is diarrhea, then it is unlikely to be I am positive with COVID-19, because it may be acute gastroenteritis also. But if my first symptom is breathlessness, if my first symptom is fever at evaluation, then it might be a chance that I have got infection with COVID-19. Okay. Now the most important part, the pre-existing medical condition. What are the pre-existing medical conditions we have to watch for? Chronic lung disease, chronic renal disease, malignancy means any type of cancer, diabetes, blood sugar, heart disease, hypertension, and chronic liver disease. Okay, and any other underlying conditions that the doctor may consider that this person with this disease have an increased chance of getting COVID-19. Okay. Why these pre-medical existing conditions are important, that I will tell you later. I will discuss with you later. But just for now, these conditions, chronic lung disease, chronic renal disease, malignancy, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, chronic liver disease, these diseases tend to increase the chance of getting COVID-19. Please keep a point of this. Now, this was the topic that I was requested to discuss at the first. Effects of the COVID-19 on special population. In medical science, the special populations means not any dignitaries, not any delegates, not any political leaders. Everyone are treated as a human body in the medical science. But the special population here means the newborn and the babies whose immune system is very weak and who are still developing. The pregnant and the nursing mothers, because the pregnant mother you may see one person, but the doctors we see as two lives. One life is the patient, the mother herself, and the life another, which is growing up in the mother's womb. So she consists of two lives. Then geriatric population, the old age persons, and the patients with the comorbidities, just I was telling in the last slide. Now, many things is written, many lot of things are written in this slide. I am just going to show you the most important parts. The COVID-19 impact on newborns and infants. Okay. All the neonates and infants are at the increased risk of getting COVID-19 because their immune system is weak. Their immune system is developing. They have not the strong immune system like you and me. So all the neonates born to the mothers with COVID-19 appear to be risk for adverse outcomes. What are the adverse outcomes for the babies? It may be fetal distress, it may be respiratory distress, it may be thrombocytopenia, it may be abnormal liver function, and also death. So all the babies who are born to COVID-19 positive mothers or COVID-19 negative mothers are at risk of getting COVID-19 in more extent way. But the good news is that there was no evidence of vertical transmission in this study. What is vertical transmission? I have explained in the second slide. Means the vertical transmission means the baby cannot get COVID-19 directly through the placenta in the mother's womb. The patient cannot get COVID-19 in this manner. Okay. The COVID-19 in the newborn infant, it is not necessary to test all infants with respiratory symptoms, and it's also not recommended. COVID-19 of the newborn infant is suspected only in two situations: born to mother with suspected or confirmed COVID-19, or exposed to the infected relative or caregiver. If the mother is confirmed or suspected COVID-19 patient, then only, or if any one of the caregiver who is exposed to the baby has COVID-19. So, indiscriminate testing of all infants with respiratory symptoms is not recommended, because the explanation is also very nice. Babies infected before birth can have RT-PCR test negative, and many babies with RT-PCR test positive can be quite healthy. That this is the another drawback of RT-PCR test, that is not 100% specific. It may false negative or false positive also. It is 90% accurate, but not 100%. Okay. Coronavirus infection is less frequent and less severe in children. It shows the child sparing pattern. The child is getting spared by the coronavirus virus. It is very good news. We should not bother about our small population, small age population, neonates, not only neonates, lower age population that much. We should not bother about them. Achha, during the pandemic, no extra care is needed. Very important line. For all the mothers who are planning to get pregnant, who are trying to conceive a baby, no extra care is needed for a normal newborn to a normal mother. No extra care is needed. Regular precautions such as hand washing, breastfeeding should be enough. Nothing more than that. Vaccinations should be given as usual. Next, impact of COVID-19 on pregnant and nursing mothers. The previous slide about the baby was about the babies. Now it is on the pregnant and the nursing mothers. During and after pregnancy, a woman is not at increased risk of coronavirus. All the mothers who are carrying a baby in their uterus is not at risk of coronavirus. Coronavirus does not increase in severity in pregnancy as compared to other people. Other people who are non-pregnant, who are male, the amount of chance they have to get coronavirus infection, the pregnant mother also have the same chance of getting coronavirus infection. Pregnancy does not increase the severity or increasing the chance of getting COVID-19. Transmission from mother to baby before, during and after birth can happen, but it is less common than anticipated. Infants born to COVID-19 women, it is important for the healthcare workers, also for you to people to know, because in your family also someone may also get pregnant, someone is expecting a baby. So infants born to COVID-19 women should be tested for SARS-CoV-2 at 24 hours of their birth. The baby has born at 9 a.m. today. I will test for the with the sample of COVID SARS-CoV-2 on 9 a.m. tomorrow. If the baby is still in the birth facility, the test should be repeated at 48 hours after birth, because just I said sometimes ago, RT-PCR is 100%, not 100% accurate, it is 90% accurate. So I will repeat the test because I can't take a chance in case of baby. Keep the infected mother, now I am coming to the topic, if the mother is already, I know the mother is COVID-19 positive, then as a doctor, I will avoid the patient, I will not take the patient, I will not treat the patient. No, I will treat the patient. But there are some protocols also. I will keep the infected mother and her newborn temporarily separate to lower the risk of the postnatal infection caused by the mother's respiratory secretion. I won't let the mother to come in the close contact of the baby. Now, the most important part of the newborn care, what is that? That is the breastfeeding. Should I allow to breastfeed the baby? Yes. I can use the expressed breast milk. It means the mother will contain her breast milk by compressing the breast in a cup or in a container by exercising appropriate breast and hand hygiene. She must use properly cleaned breast pump and accessories, and we may use katori or spoon or anything or feeding bottle, whatever it is, to feed the baby, not by direct suckling of the breast as it is used in normal breastfeeding, because during breastfeeding the mother's salivary secretion, the mother's nasal secretion can infect the baby. Now, will I keep the mother and the baby separate permanently? That is a crime. So when I will allow the mother to get in the proximity to the newborn, this has also a criteria. She has not had a fever for 72 hours without consuming antibiotics. Antibiotics means the medicines that reduces fever, such as paracetamol, aspirin, etc. She has not had a fever for 72 hours without taking paracetamol. If I take paracetamol, I will have my fever reduced. But that doesn't mean I am free from the disease, right? This is the in true case, many of the persons coming through the airport, rail stations are escaping the thermal scanning by this only. They are taking paracetamol 1 hour before the journey. The fever is going down. In the thermal scanning, they are showing negative, normal temperature, and they are getting passed through the check. So, if the mother has not had a fever for 72 hours without consuming antibiotics, that is very important thing for diagnosing the mother is becoming disease free. At least 7 days have passed since she first showed symptoms. She has negative result on her molecular acid tests conducted using at least 2 consecutive nasopharyngeal swab specimens collected at least 24 hours apart. Means I have tested a patient today taking taking her nasopharyngeal sample, and I tested negative. I am getting insured? No. I will repeat after 24 hours, as I was doing in the case of baby. And if both the samples are showing negative result, I can say the mother is now free from COVID-19, and I can allow, as per the protocol, the mother to come in the close contact of the baby. Understood? Now, this part is a little bit sensitive, not rather complicated, it is a little bit sensitive part. COVID-19 and older population. COVID-19 affects older population much because the older population have weak immune systems, and they can get the disease in higher rate more easily than the young ones. So COVID-19 affects the older persons not only by the disease, but it affects in many other ways. The first point is the increased susceptibility of the older people for COVID-19. This is the main point, but this is not the only point. What affects more? It is poor health access to the health care. This is the more important thing. The poor access to health care. The aged patients, the debilitated patients cannot go to the hospital themselves. They are dependent persons. They have to get dependent to anyone. They have to get dependent to others to get access to the health care. They have poor access to care and support. Deteriorated mental health. Why? Because they are getting depressed. They are anxious. They are apprehended due to maybe due to the death of near and dear ones, due to the lockdown, due to the social distancing, due to the isolation, due to the quarantine, anything. They are not in a sound health. They are in the deteriorated mental health. We have to take care of these things. The geriatric population, the aged population is getting more violence, neglect, and abuse in this period, and deteriorated social and economic well-being. Why? Because all you know, in this scenario, many of the population are being sacked from their service because all of the companies, all of the organizations are starting a culture of work from home with minimum man strength, with minimum strength, staff strength. So deteriorated, that is also impacting the economic side as well as the social side, as unemployment is there, social and economic well-being. So these are the 5 to 8 factors that can affect the older population other than the disease. As a doctor, as a healthcare personnel, we are taking care of the disease, but as common people, you have to take care of everything. If an old person living in a society is having depression, maybe due to someone of his or her in the near and dear ones died due to COVID-19, or that person is isolated, that person is quarantined, that person is not being allowed to meet everyone else. He or she, maybe he or she is getting depressed because of the loneliness. You have to take care of all these things. Because the doctor cannot take care of these things. The doctor can cure the disease, but the mental support, the social support can give you people. So, DSI has presented in the chart the economic well-being, the mental health, the life and death, vulnerability, abuse and neglect. These we all have to care in the COVID-19 for older populations, other than the disease, the most important. Disease we have to obviously take care, but even the patient is getting recovered from the disease, we have to take care of all these things so that the patient, while getting recovered from COVID-19, may sink into depression. Okay. Now, the topic that I was earlier discussing: how do comorbidities affect the coronavirus infection? How do comorbidities affect? Why? The patients who have any previous illness, just like cardiovascular disease, just like diabetes, just like hypertension, just like kidney disease, has a greater chance of getting coronavirus. People who have a weak immune system, are more susceptible to contract coronavirus. This is layman's knowledge. This doesn't this doesn't want medical knowledge to know. The persons who have sound immune system, these persons are more in the chance of getting coronavirus disease than the persons who are in the sound immune system. Sorry. So, what are the comorbidities? Hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and COPD means lung disease. In our body, there is a receptor known as ACE2 receptor. Where you have heard this ACE2 receptor? I'm just giving you a check. Just give me 1 minute. Now, please tell me who has noticed these ACE inhibitors point in this slide. What are these ACE inhibitors? ACE inhibitors means ACE receptor means angiotensin converting enzyme receptor. That has a very crucial role in our controlling of blood pressure. And some people, you may know the names also. The drugs, who take the drugs, you may seen your father, your mother, your grandfather, grandmother, or anything who has hypertension, taking the drugs such as name as telmisartan, olmesartan, okay, or the captopril, enalapril. These are all ACE inhibitors. The ACE inhibitors can reduce the blood pressure in a very efficient manner. The coronavirus use these ACE receptors, angiotensin converting enzyme receptors, to get into your body. So even the trial is also going on with the ACE inhibitors, like the antihypertensive drugs like enalapril, captopril, telmisartan, all like that. These ACE inhibitors to use as a coronavirus medication. So in the hypertension, there is already a downgradation of the ACE2 inhibitor. So that's why the hypertensive patients are more prone to have coronavirus infection, because the receptors that the coronavirus is using to get into your body is already weak. That is not in case of a normal person. But in a hypertensive patient, the receptors that the virus itself is using to get the coronavirus disease is already weak. That's why hypertensive patients are more in chance of getting coronavirus infection. Now, second point, diabetes. When I have chronic diabetes, I have already weak immune system. Why? Because diabetes is already an immunosuppressor. Diabetes already has damaged so many vital organs of our body, like my kidney, like my liver, like my heart. So in this background, the coronavirus has a greater opportunity to enter my body and to take over my control and to damage my organs faster. So the patient of diabetes is more prone to getting coronavirus disease. Okay. Coronavirus causes inflammation of the heart muscle. So if my heart muscle is getting inflamed, how the heart is going to work? If my heart muscle is getting itself damaged, how the heart is going to work? It can't work. So coronavirus can cause myocarditis. That inflammation of the heart muscle is known as myocarditis in medical terms. So if my heart is previously damaged by any other disease, I had a heart attack, I have heart block, such cardiovascular diseases, if I previously had, the coronavirus has a fair chance to damage it more easily, and my death is sooner in this case. COPD. What is COPD? It is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The smokers, the chronic smokers, those have COPDs. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease like bronchial asthma, pulmonary emphysema, and like that. Those patients have COPDs. Those patients already have reduced lung compliance, and the malalaptic changes The maladaptive changes that I told previously is easier for the body to make the lungs more hard because the lungs is already hard in these patients. The patients who are chronic smoker is already suffering from shortness of breath. Then the coronavirus itself is very happy that, oh, no problem, the patient is already sick, I can make him sick more easily in this case. So this causes the aggravation of the respiratory complications. Now, what is the outcome? So many patients all over the world, so many persons all over the world have been infected with the coronavirus disease. Now, we will see some statistics, some real data, how much dreadful the disease is, how much deadly it is. Now, this is very interesting case. What is this slide depicting you? There are 4 diseases in the slide. One is COVID-19, another is seasonal flu, another is SARS, means severe acute respiratory disease illness, and the MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. Are not you getting shocked by seeing this? The coronavirus disease, COVID-19, has very, very, very less mortality. It only kills 4% of the patients who are getting infected with COVID-19. But here, the MERS, the SARS, who have much more fatality, more than COVID-19. So, stop worrying this much. You may have COVID-19, but it is very unlikely you will die. Now, again the same thing. The Marburg disease has 80% mortality. The Nipah virus that was in the 1998, again in the 2018, has 77.6% mortality. But we are not that much concerned about the Nipah virus. Right? The bird flu had 52% mortality. Ebola, 40% mortality. MERS, 34% mortality. Here, the coronavirus is 2.2% mortality worldwide. Then why are you worrying that much? Yes, obviously, this doesn't mean that you are free to roam about, you are free to go about, you don't need to care. But you may have the coronavirus disease, but it is very, very unlikely that you will die if you are already healthy professional, healthy person. Otherwise, you don't have any previous illness, you don't have a weak immune system, you are not suffering from a serious disease, and you are not aged person. You have very little chance that you will die from the coronavirus disease. There are much more dreadful diseases we all have experienced, like Nipah, like bird flu, like Ebola, like MERS, etc. There are more deadly diseases we have gone through. Coronavirus is very, very less deadly in matter to those. Now, death rate by age, health, and sex. It can be seen the case fatality ratio, as I was telling you, the persons who are 80 plus has the highest death rate, and the person who has the cardiovascular disease pre-existing has the highest death rate. And in case of males, are slightly in the increased risk of getting the COVID than females. This is the important things we have to know in this slide. Now, this is very interesting. This chart is showing you the leading cause of death among those who are aged between 15 and 29 in India. What we can see in men, the transport accidents or road traffic accidents are 14%. And in women, maternal disorders are 16%. Suicide taking 13% of the death toll. That is equally same in both sides, in case of male and females. But when you will go to the road, there are so many persons you will see, the most of the persons who are wearing a mask but not a helmet. So what is that? Ignorance or stupidity? You are being concerned about a disease that is very, very, very less fatal than your accident. What are you doing? You are wearing a mask but not a helmet. The person who is wearing a helmet as well as a mask is okay, no problem. You have to wear mask, but not before the helmet. Because if you suffer from a road traffic accident, the chance you will die is much, 7 times more than the coronavirus disease. So what you should be more concerned about? The road traffic accident or the coronavirus? We must keep this in mind. But the media, the present scenario has made us that much concerned about the disease that we have forgot all other aspects of our life. Our complete concentration has gone to the coronavirus disease. But we have become callous, we have become careless, all other causes of our death, all other causes of harming our life. So in these photos, we can see the persons in the back, these persons, all are wearing a mask, but not a helmet. So don't be 100% immersed in coronavirus situation. Coronavirus will be with us. It is not going anywhere. We have enough welcomed the virus. We have enough welcomed. We have done a flower shower. We have done lockdowns. We have played some utensils. Enough we have welcomed the coronavirus. Now it's time to think other sides also. So this is ignorance or stupidity. You can ask both. So when you are going out, obviously you use a mask, but before that, always wear a helmet. Now, how will you prevent? So this part, many of us know. Wear a cloth face mask, obviously. Not N95 is not required always. Because if you maintain social distancing, it is very unlikely the aerosols and the droplets from the infected person is coming up to the 2 meters to you to infect you if you wear a face mask. It is better to have something than having nothing. So if you don't have N95, don't bother. At least wear a face mask, cloth face mask. No issue. Wash your hands frequently. Cover your mouth and nose. Avoid care facilities. You might be thinking, this doctor is mad. Why he is telling to avoid care facilities? Because I am not mad. Because I am telling this because if you have some mild symptoms, if you had some mild gastritis, if you are having a mild diarrhea, if you are having a common cold fever, why are you going to the healthcare facilities? Call your doctor. Call doctor, I am having such and such problems. Please prescribe me medicines in the WhatsApp. Please prescribe me medicines in the Facebook. Please prescribe the medicines in the other healthcare, social media apps. There are so many online consultations apps are available right now. Use those because you are healthy. You are having a minor problem, but you are going to the hospital. There are thousands of patients are there. It is a fair chance that you may get in the close contact of the coronavirus patient in the healthcare facility. So, while wanting to treat a simple problem, you are inviting a major problem. So, avoid healthcare facilities as much as you can. If you have simple symptoms, if you have simple problems, just consult your doctor over phone. I have given my personal mobile number to all my patients. If anything small, if anything petty happens to you, don't come to the hospital. Call me. I will give you the medicine. Practice social distancing. Very important. At least keep 2 meters distance from your peers. Don't go for the handshake. Practice to say namaste. Practice social distancing. Clean and disinfect everything that is around you. Because this is the part I told in the first slide. This is the part to prevent the infection from the fomites. Stay home when you are sick. and maintain healthy habits, healthy foods, drink plenty of liquids and exercise if you are able to help to keep your immune system strong. These are the simple ways. These are not very critical ways, but these are very effective ways for prevention. Now, we have, sorry, we have seen this ad many a times. This is a famous ad from Lifebuoy, Bunty Tera Sabun Slow hai kya? Why I have put this? Because the slide is incomplete without discussing the proper hand washing technique with soap and water. It is not derived by me. It is derived by World Health Organization that we the doctors always use, but now you also have to use. What are the steps? There are 12 steps. 13 is it is for the drying part, but actually it is 12 steps. The 12 steps, each step should take at least 5 seconds. So 12 steps, it should take 12 into 5, 60 seconds. So if you are washing your hand in less than 60 seconds, that means your hand washing is not adequate. You have done it in the wrong way. So how to wash your hand? Very basic, but very important. First, wet hands with water. Apply enough soap to cover all your hand surfaces. Rub hands from palm to palm first. Then rub back of the each hand with palm of the other hand with fingers interlaced. Just follow the photos. Please follow the photos and please practice it. If you want, I will give you the slides, but please practice it in the home. Because by this only, you can prevent 80% of the coronavirus spread. Just keep my words account. Rub back of each hand with palm of the other hand with fingers interlaced. Just follow the slide, follow the photos. Rub palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub with back of the fingers in opposite palms with the fingers interlocked. Rub each thumb clasped in opposite hand using a rotational movement. Rub tips of the fingers in the opposite palm in a circular motion. Just follow the photos. Rub each wrist with opposite hand. Rinse hands with water. Use your elbow to turn the cap off. Turn the tap off. If the elbow tab is not available, use a paper towel to turn the cap off. Dry thoroughly with a single-use towel, and hand washing should take at least 40 to 60 seconds that I installed. So now I am coming to this ad. Bunty Tera Sabun Slow hai kya? Yes, my sabun is slow, but that is my problem. I will wash my hands up to 1 minute. And you also should wash your hands up to 1 minute. My sabun is my sabun, none of your sabun. So this is my problem. My hand washing will take time. You have to wait. Thank you. Thank you all. Actually, I was supposed to take up to 12:30, but as my topic is long, I have taken some extra time. I'm getting pardon from you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And for
Thank you,
any further clarifications, you are all free to ask me. I am with you now on. You are please feel free to ask me anything, few questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vishwas, for presenting such an illuminating deliberations. Dr. Vishwas has enlightened us with his, superb deliberations, with his scientific analysis on the virus COVID-19, and he has also enriched us with so many important information related to the fatal disease. Now the floor is open for the interactive sessions. Now the participants may put their questions in the chat box.
Many of you are asking about the role of the medicines. As I told in the very beginning, the disease is very new. We are just trying to find out the cure, but we are not sure about the cure. But the medicines has shown like hydroxychloroquine sulfate and azithromycin. These two medicines have shown to give some results. But actually we are managing the patients as per the symptomatic protocol. We don't have specific medications right now for the disease. And along with this, I can also add prevention is the better than cure. So always try to prevent the disease. Always try to prevent the disease. Not for the don't wait to become cured. Always try to get prevent. And again, thank you.
There is
And
yes, sir. There is a
Chatterjee is
question from
asking, sir, how to sanitize fruits and vegetables that are meant to be taken raw. Okay, that doesn't consist of anything.
yes.
Wash it with soap, wash it with clean water, wash it with lukewarm water. The warm water that is hot for 30 minutes, let it cool, let it lukewarm, and wash the fruits with that water and the vegetables also. That will suffice. No extra care is needed because the fruit and vegetables that are we are eating, that has the very less chance of getting infected with the fruits and vegetables. Any news of Professor Mahato is asking, any news of the medicine right now? No, sir, I am very sorry. Some countries are trying to make the vaccine, but the success rate is not that much high that we can use it publicly. So the researches are still going on. Need to be stayed in the sunlight, yes. The sunlight has shown some benefit in fighting the COVID-19, but the COVID-19 which are present on the surface, the virus which are present on the surface, like if you have received some courier, if you have received something, that should be kept in sunlight. I use that. That should be kept in the sunlight, and that for at least 1 hour. But the person, that means I should not wait in the sunlight to get my COVID-19 virus inside my body. That will not kill. Okay, patients with obstructive sleep apnea have any chance of being affected? Yes, the patients of obstructive sleep apnea are mostly obese. The obese patients may have any comorbidities such as diabetes, hypertension, and weakened immune system. They are in the greater chance of having COVID-19, so please keep them safe. I hope I have answered.
Sir, there is a question from Ananya Mandal.
Okay. If anyone has more queries, because the session must go on, if anyone has more queries, please contact me personally. I will be ready for help. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Biswas, for giving such kind of a wonderful deliberation, and you have enlightened us with your scientific analysis of the virus, and you have enriched us with the informations which are related to the virus, and you have also shown us the measures to be taken, how you have shown how it is detected, how it affects us, and how to overcome such kind of a fatal disease. Thank you very much. Now, I think we are very hungry, and we should savor the delicious dishes waiting for us in the kitchen. It's the time for the lunch break. We'll meet again at 2:15 sharp, and the next session will be hosted by Professor Nurul Hassan. Thank you for being with us patiently. You have shown patience enough throughout the session. Thank you all. Thank you very much. We'll meet after the lunch break. Dr. Biswas has probably muted himself. Sir, you have to unmute yourself to say anything.
Yes. Mr. Mondal, can you please take up? I can't hear anything.
So all the attendees are requested to, turn their cameras, microphones off, and obviously they should also turn off their Gmeet app. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet 2:15 sharp after the lunch break. Thank you very much.